Hi, it's Lois here again with part 3 of my tutorial, which is all about the profile image and learning some more useful skills in Gimp. We'll begin with a simple profile pic to complement the cover image you created in part 2, then go on to a cool idea where we're going to echo the Facebook profile image presentation to create a cover image of scattered photos, so it looks as if the profile pic is just one of them bursting out of the frame. And then finally, I'm going to show you a neat little trick where you can use the free select tool to completely remove the background from your profile image and paste yourself onto any other background you desire. You could have some real fun with that one. Right, let's get stuck in. I have the image I chose for my profile pic in part 2 open in Gimp here. Although it's not the best of images, I chose it because it's the only one I have of me in the house. I'm going to use the rectangle select tool with a ratio of 1:1 here, which will give me a perfect square. Now I want the whole of that lovely big fireplace in the image, so I'm just going to draw and position my selection. Unfortunately, I'll end up with that wall socket in the image because if I take the edge right up to my elbow, the image is going to look unbalanced. So I'll copy the selection and open it from the clipboard. I'm going to zoom in so I can get rid of that socket and shadow. I'm just going to feather the edges of the rectangle select tool and take a selection of the wall just above it. Drag it into position and then use the brightness and contrast to blend it in. The image is going to end up quite small, so I'm not going to get too fussy here. After merging the image, I'm just going to use the blur tool to soften that visible edge there. And then the smudge tool just to get rid of that little bit of shadow that I didn't cover because of the angle of the line of the chair. Another perhaps more simple way to achieve this would be to use the clone tool, but I thought it would be useful to point this technique out to you, and I'll cover the clone tool in part 6. Okay, I don't like the effect of my thumb holding my mobile there. So as the image will be so small, I'm also going to get rid of that too. I mean, it could have been wrapped around the front of the phone after all, couldn't it? Whenever you've cropped an image for any purpose, it's good to sit back and try to look at the whole image as if seeing it for the first time. And then you can always edit anything you're not happy with, such as white feathers on a pond or in the grass that take the eye away from your intended focal point. Oh my god, what's that? Perhaps I should tidy the hair up a little bit too. I'll try to be quick. There we are, all done. And I've cut a section out here just so I can show you the changes I've made. In case you find the changes difficult to see, you are looking out for the wall socket, my thumb and my hair. Okay, once you stop laughing, you can maybe acknowledge that often just a few tiny changes can make a big difference to an image as a whole. Right, seeing as my hair looks so good now, I'm going to take a smaller selection for a close-up profile image, so I have a choice when I use that cover image. Now I just need to save the 2 images, and that's it for this section. A while ago I came up with the idea of creating several images using the display size and the same white border as Facebook uses for the profile image, and use them all to create a cover image. In this example I've only used 5 images and kept them all within the cover image area. And on this one I used a lot more images. I made them all grayscale and had some of them cut off by the confines of the cover image. I also used a drop shadow on these images, including a shadow under where the profile image sits. And if I just fade in part of the Facebook page around these two images, you can see that the blue and the grey I used as the background colours in these examples actually match up with the colours used by Facebook. You'll learn about a few more useful features of Gimp here. To start with, I'll quickly show you how to get those Facebook colours. You'll be able to find references of the hex and RGB values of the Facebook colours online if you do a search, but they could be out of date, so the best way is just to import a screenshot of your Facebook image and use the colour picker tool. As you can see, anywhere I click with the colour picker tool in this image loads a colour in the foreground colour over here. So all you need to do is click in the blue area of the Facebook page and then use these little arrows here to swap the colours round, and then click in the grey area. And you have the Facebook colours to use however you want. I'll be going into a bit more depth about colour selection in part 5. But right now we're going to revisit the fuzzy select tool. I'm taking the threshold down to 7 here, and then I'm going to click the border to my profile image. Now from here that looks great, but if I zoom in, I think you can just see, I think I'll zoom into 800 so we can see it more clearly. Yes, you can just see here that these two corner pixels are not selected. If I take the threshold up to 15, it still leaves one of the pixels unselected. So we're going to set the threshold to 20 for this task. If I move the selector way up, past halfway, you can see that most of the image has been selected. If you had to play around with the threshold setting of the select by colour tool as I suggested in part 1, then you were probably expecting these results. So we'll set it back to 20, click on the white border area, and it's the old edit, copy, file, create from clipboard. Now this is a selection from a photograph I took when on holiday in Cornwall back in 2004. I got that texture with an effect from the Script Foo pack, the texturizer on the paper setting. I'll be covering more about Script Foo in part 6, but for now just think of a script as a plugin. Oh, I'd better hurry up before that ship goes past and spoils my image. I have my template here in another layer, and here's the profile image I'll be using, which was a pic of me taken in a restaurant in an old lifeboat house. I've saved it as a 220 pixel image. You can upload any size for your profile pic, but do remember to always make sure it's a square. The larger your image, the more detail people will be able to see when they click on your image to leave a comment. I'm reducing it to the 160 size that the image profile is displayed at here, and then I'm closing the original without saving it. By clicking discard changes, the original will remain at 220 pixels. I'm then going to paste it in place and merge it with the template. That's just so that we can see what it'll look like as we add the other images. And I've got 3 images here I've already prepared as 160 square images. And all we need to do here is select all, edit, copy, and then paste it into our border. It will be pasted right in the center. Then we can make it into a new layer and select merge visible layers or flatten image. Either will do here. Then select all, edit, copy, and paste it into the background of your cover image. It's a good idea to name the images to avoid confusion later on. Once you've made it into a new layer, double click on the text, type in whatever you want to name the layer, and hit the return key. If you don't hit the return key, the layer won't be renamed and it can be easy to forget. Right, now we're going to have a play with the rotate tool, which is up here. Making sure the right layer is selected, click on the image and the rotate dialog box will open. You can type an angle into this box here, hit the return key and it will show you the angle that you've selected. Hit the rotate button and your image will be rotated. This is really useful if you want several layers with the same rotation or you know the exact angle you want. But you can also just drag with your mouse until you like what you see and then hit rotate. Now select the Move tool and you want to select Move the active layer in the Tool Options box. And so long as that layer is still the active one, you can move your image to your chosen position. But as you can see here, the image is going over the top of the template layer. So we'll just drag that layer down so it's over the background layer but under the template layer like this. And now you can see what it'll end up looking like and drag it to where you want it. I would point out here that whilst you don't want text running underneath your name or the friends or message links, if you want your images to run underneath, you don't need to worry about obscuring the text in any way, because Facebook puts a shadow gradient over your cover image to prevent any issues with this. When you get to the next image, you can simply paste it right over the top of the first one. The new layer will be pasted in the center, so you can just flatten the image and carry on. So I'm going to speed the film up here so that we have all 3 images pasted in, and then you can see that once you have all your images in place, you can of course still edit the angle, position or layer order until you're happy with the result. And here's one I made earlier. These are the images I chose, and before you think I must have made a mistake, the cacao pods were actually growing in Cornwall, but they were in one of the domes at the Eden project. I also added some text to this one. I'll be covering the text tool in part 5. Want to add some drop shadow? I'll demonstrate on the cacao pods. Make the layer active by clicking on it, then go to Filters, Light and Shadow, and then Drop Shadow. The last time I used the tool I had it set with an offset of 9 and blur radius of 21. If I click reset, it will go back to the default. I'll leave it at that setting. It's best if we uncheck this box here, because otherwise Gimp will alter the canvas size to accommodate the shadow, which we don't want in this case. So I'll undo that step with the keyboard shortcut Ctrl Z and then uncheck the box. If you want a darker effect, you can get that by duplicating the drop shadow layer like this. I'm right clicking and hitting the letter U on the keyboard, which is the underlined letter on the duplicate layer option. This saves moving the mouse back and forth all the time. If I do want this many copies of the drop shadow layer, I make the other layers invisible and then merge the shadow layers to the original layer. Otherwise, you're going to have so many layers open. But if you do this, it's a good idea to save another XCF version first, because if you want to come back to it later to edit it, you won't be able to change the rotation of any of the layers without the shadows looking wrong, because they'll all be coming from different directions. I'm just going to add one drop shadow layer to each layer here. You can just click on repeat drop shadow for each one, or you see here that the keyboard shortcut is Ctrl F. So you can just make the layer active and hit Ctrl F as I'm doing here. And then to get the drop shadow behind your profile image, just delete the name and links from the template layer. Fill the profile image area to make it solid, and then apply the drop shadow. And that's it. Make the template layer invisible and save a copy of your new cover image as a JPEG or PNG using the export option. Ever had a photo of yourself you really like, but you're not so keen on the background or where it was taken? Well, now I'm going to show you how you can change that background to anything you like. A Facebook friend gave me permission to use 2 photographs from her 50th birthday trip to Rome. Here's a picture of the Colosseum. And this is Sue, who I haven't actually met yet, which is really bad since she's just up the road from me. Now, there's nothing at all wrong with the background of this picture, but I wanted to have a break from working on pictures of myself for this tutorial, and Sue kindly gave me permission to use 2 of hers. And this is what I ended up with. First of all, with a ratio of 1:1, I'm going to make my selection for the profile image. Now, although you might think I should select this so that Sue is filling the profile image area, because I want to make it look as if she's standing in front of the Colosseum on the other picture, it wouldn't work if her elbows were cut off. Okay, I'm going to save the original as an XCF file so that if I make any mistakes that I can't undo, I still have the original to begin working from again. And now I'm going to open a new transparent layer here. So that's File, New. Remember that from part 1? I wasn't sure we'd use that again, but here we are. The new layer will automatically be the same size as the open image. We're just going to have a quick look at the advanced options here. I have mine set to fill with transparency every time. I'm not sure what the normal default is. You can change that and many other things in the preferences, which I'll be showing you in part 6. But for now, if yours is set to white or foreground colour, change it to transparent and click OK. Then we're going to copy and paste our selection into the new image and make it a new layer. Now, you won't always need to do this, but I wanted to show you how to do it, because if you try to go right to work with a JPEG image, you'll find that when you clear part of the image, you will get the background colour rather than transparent, which is what we need. And I can get rid of these other 2 files now so that the workspace and computer memory are less cluttered. Don't worry, the original XCF file you saved will still be sitting there in your folder. Right, we're ready. And now I'm going to introduce you to the free select tool, which is up here with the other select tools. I'm going to zoom into 400% here so it's easy to see what I'm doing. And I want a small amount of feathering only here, so I'm setting it to 3. If you're intending to paste your finished image onto a background of very similar colour and brightness of the original, you can set the feather edges option higher, which will be a lot more forgiving if you're not spot on with your selection. Okay, I'm going to click randomly in the background, and as I move the pointer away, you'll notice a line connecting it to where I just clicked. And now I'm going to start clicking around the edge of Sue. And if you look, you will notice that I'm clicking just inside the outline to prevent any of the various colours of the people in the background from showing in the finished image. The feathering will help soften the eventual effect. Now, to show you how this works, I'm going to go back over to my first click in the background, and when I hover over the right spot, you'll see it turn yellow. When I click that yellow dot, you'll see that part of the background is now selected, and if I hit my delete key on the keyboard, it disappears. I'm going to overlap in the empty space and carry on. The reason I'm deleting the background rather than cutting Sue out from it is that this way I can work bit by bit, and if anything goes wrong and I need to start work on a section again, it's not such a big deal. You can go back and reposition any of the points if you feel the need, and you can scroll the image down whilst working. You should be able to keep clicking away until you click back where you started, at which point your selection will appear and can be copied or deleted. Right, I'm going to reduce the image back to 100% and click way outside the image and then go back to my starting point. Hit the delete key and another chunk of the background is gone. All you need to do is continue doing this until all the background's gone. I'll be showing you in part 4 how I matched up the new background of the profile image with the photo of the outside of the Colosseum. That's it for part 3. Why not have some fun creating a few more cover and profile images to consolidate what you've learned before checking out part 4. I'll leave you with a few of mine which might hopefully spark off some ideas. Bye for now.